the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
You will see for a better than any Supreme Court. Supreme Court judges the ruling ama Godfred Dame and Justice Nsem-Pii on the case of petition to put an injunction on the removal process of the Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Torkonoo, Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, and a petition called Supreme Court on April 25th, 2025. Now, petition and said, unlawful. The President Mahama, a processor, will establish a claim of prima facie against the Chief Justice Ombe answer, and I was setting up an investigative committee. So Omontana so no omu decide say whether or you're guilty and as on you're guilty. And no more honor and oka say to ensure say omobe working independently no or suspended the Chief Justice. And the case no kodom visitors as if honorable visitors as if the case no kodom Supreme Court say Omontana so no for injunction and to the President Mahama and also omode ruling abreno na nipa na lawyer Godfred Dame na answer na yebeko ruling no yenko the details of the injunction na yenti ase the entire ruling we about na Member of Parliament for Old Tafo in the Ashanti region, Honorable Vincent Eko Asifwa, has filed a suit at the Supreme Court challenging President John Dramani Mahama's suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo. Now, the legislator is asking the Apex Court to reverse the suspension on the basis that President Mahama had violated due process because of a pending court application. Indeed, Ghana Bar Association pleaded with President Mahama on reversing the decision on the suspension of Madam Gertrude Torkonoo. Honorable Vincent Asifwa at the court, Supreme Court said, Omu na omu ye under attack. Enti omu two means say ombetima reverse a decision of a certain president. Enti omu share the petition, no omu reverse the decision of President Mahama in the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo. Now, an order restraining any step or action from being purportedly taken as part of the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice under Article 146 or any manner until the hearing and final determination of the instant action. Into omo reverse here, omo sanso fa hold on. An order restraining omo sanso si ho kwan say obia betima take any other step in this particular removal process of Madam Gertrude Torkonoo. Now, an order suspending the operation of the warrant for suspension of the Chief Justice purportedly issued by the President under Article 146 or in any manner until the hearing of the final determination of the instant action. Any further orders as the Honorable Court may seem meet. Say omo reverse decision say final so say obe initiated the removal of the Chief Justice based on petitions ne de kaka ho na obi a omunzansi ho kwan kwan bia so obi besa fa ho say odebe initiated the removal of the Chief Justice omunsanso ye de insi ho kwan we ana ye de ruling apa ama Godfred Dame and Honorable Vincent Asifwa because omone petitioners. Now, President Mahama asked the foremost judicial official, that is the Chief Justice, to step aside following the establishment of a 5-member committee to investigate 3 petitions filed against her. We understand that 2 additional petitions have since been filed to get the Chief Justice out of office. Apart from 3 petitions, only 2 additional. And so, Abekahon. The presidency, which announced the suspension on Tuesday, said the action was in compliance with the constitutional provisions and follows consultations with the Council of State. Where I didn't Brady say a choir President Mahama say all fast or no ADA Chief Justice no it is stipulated into the constitution. Say obi person omo ye den omo consider the removal of the Chief Justice omo the petition ba on the Council of State etena ho e ma mo mudi ho abubu omo wi a no ma ye den omo institute investigative committee into the kwan so no according to President Mahama. Now the president cited Article 146 Section 6 of the Constitution, which mandates the establishment of a committee to probe the allegations a superior court judge if a prima facie is established. According to the statement, President Mahama determined the sufficient grounds exist to warrant further inquiry. However, Otafo MP believes the president violated due process. Inti nkobona ekoswa no say president the Council of State never established prima facie. Also wafana kwanzo Otafo MP, that is Honorable Vincent Asifwa, engine this president efana kwanzo establish prima facie. Nkofo bebe na namso busa say Ghana Bar Association omusanso busa say sa inyina so the Chief Justice no o making it known to the public. Ni neyehu because Supreme Court for the decision bibia o making it known to the public. Yenya response from the president, from the Council of State. DNT already established that prima facie against Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo, the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo. Now, in view of the plaintiff, who is being represented by Godfred Dame, Godfred Dame, the immediate past Attorney General, the Chief Justice ought to be alerted of the petitions to give a response before the president could consult the Council of State. The latest court process highlighted that the action of the president is indicative of a complete disregard of the rule of law and due process, whilst the application for interlocutory injunction was pending and had not been heard or determined. Enti, Omosha say Omode petition, Akoma President Mahama, say only Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo free hono. Na Honorable Vincent Asifwa, Otafo MP, at the interlocutory injunction, according to Supreme Court, so almost stop a process no omuntie injunction case no. Now, Supreme Court JSA injunction still na President Mahama a tokoso on the removal of the Chief Justice. And no quite say Godfred Dame, according to Godfred Dame, wabu Supreme Court name tia because say Parliament kwa na ehye process bi ase na interlocutory injunction application edda Supreme Court anima. Omo hodi hon etie the ruling of the Supreme Court and say no matter akoso where the President Mahama, in spite of the fact that say interlocutory injunction application at that Supreme Court in him still na no motokoso so muyi Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo we ne Godfred Dame one of the arguments already in view of the plaintiff. The entire proceedings triggered by the president, including the establishment of a committee to inquire into the petitions against the Chief Justice, are a farce and of product of preconceived orchestration to unconstitutionally remove the Chief Justice from office. So no say a constitutional mandate be a idea what boni trimopo oshe in summer President Mahama time no all contested to be president of the Republic of Ghana and some no can say Chief Justice we or on dimana ne de kaka ho no here say NDC for lawyers be court Supreme Court na ko balance equation ne de kaka ho no ni na kire say wa boni trimopo say Chief Justice we oba obeyi ne free on enya say mama no aye enyema boni biara. Now, based on this full application, Honorable Vincent Asifwa at the Dome Supreme Court, Godfred Dame argue here with Justice Nsem-Pii on also at the rebuttal say no. Bafu Bonnie, Chief Justice, acting Chief Justice, at any no the arguments of Godfred Dame and Honorable Vincent Asifwa here plaintiff against Justice Nsem-Pii. But Godfred Dame the plea be by court to say the ultimate beneficiary of this process acting Chief Justice Bafuboni, because on na yenim say President Mahama appointing say impo Madam Gertrude Torkonoo, Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo free wa or no acting Chief Justice or no be benefited as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Inti e ba say no timit case we so on the injunction of the process of the removal of the Chief Justice. I say play a be or that substitution. Or person obebobi. na yes yenyi captain if you no betena se na ye bie committee say omuntie say captain na aye boni na onye boni nipa obe benefit abe captain ono na otena case nso say nipa na aye boni na onye boni so onye boni kra po na ye ni free wa so ono no be wa be captain enti na Godfred Dame say no saa de we de anya de a ebeboa nanka Paul Bafuboni, the acting chief justice on certain who aside na other justices of the Supreme Court and internal NT case so no omun determine say interlocutory injunction enkoso ana man enkoso. Now so acting chief justice Bafuboni and lead the newly constituted panel to preside over the hearing of the injunction suit filed against the removal of the suspended chief justice Gertrude Torkonoo. Still now on an so. That is where Ghana's judiciary ecosystem. New panel now consists of 1. Justice Paul Bafuboni, 2. Justice Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, 3. Justice Yoni Kolende, 4. Justice Amadou Tanko, and then 5. Justice Ernest Daiwu. Enti, sir, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Supreme Court judges, omo betena interlocutory injunction application or so. But it must be said, say each and every judge of the Supreme Court be one vote. So in spite of the fact that acting chief justice will influence one or no, I sure say there can be dissenting views, so I want to agree and I want to disagree. But in spite of that, Godfred Dame argue say because of conflict of interest issues, no, Nanka Justice Paul Bafuboni on certain on aside, na omuntie as omun argue omun point to the Supreme Court on the interlocutory injunction. Now, decision about say omu reconstitute panel overseeing the injunction suit against the removal of the suspended Justice Gertrude Torkonoo faced strong opposition from Attorney General Godfred Dame, who is also a legal representative for Vincent Eko Asefua, the petitioner seeking to halt the removal process. Dame objected to the panel's reconstitution, according to our legal affairs, now presiding over the correspondent, right? Arguing that the acting Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni, now presiding over the case, is directly affected by the outcome and therefore should not lead the proceedings. In Tenuani Kayano, say a Salta near Madame Gertrude Torkonoo. Justice Bafuboni, on the ultimate beneficiary of the situation now, Obadane, the Chief Justice. Inti de enya dia ebeboa se obetina sa interlocutory injunction case so odini yi mpo a nkofo beka se odini yi de but oyi interlocutory injunction one giantum no a opese yi no opese be Chief Justice intia enunti na oyeren o decide say interlocutory injunction or boa to baby now so or in so or law crap on because of conflict of interest perception into sana enkrofo me aka into Godfred Dame no boa senior Supreme Court no omo bede omo mupeyidu in this particular ruling. However, after a brief deliberation, the court unanimously overruled Dame's objection, affirming that the new panel chaired by Justice Bafuboni will proceed with the hearing. And matted all the legal arguments of Godfred Dame. Now, so Omotinasi, Emritiawebi, they decided that Justice Bafuboni na nebetena interlocutory injunction case no so or no nebetena so a ruling because I don't know whatever rationale Supreme Court for decided say but that is the decision of the Supreme Court as at now. The panel was reconstituted due to changes in the composition of the bench, with some justices now serving on the Chief Justice Removal Committee and others being replaced. Yabekaya, President Mahama, some reconstitution be as some new appointment into the Supreme Court. Into sa reconstitution, and this a new reconstituted panel way sitting on the interlocutory injunction assembly. The original panel, which was presided over by Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, included Samuel Asiedu, now on the removal committee, and as guy who retains his place on the new panel, Asare Darko, Richard J. Frimpong, both whom have been replaced. Until Asare Darko and Richard J. Frimpong now, Omo a free committee insurance. Until a free Supreme Court, but in the face of the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo and a Bremo in Nsem-Pii TV. So you can see himself for us.
He's going to be the loser. He's not going to be the loser. It is the party that is going to be the loser. And if I say to me, say, "Oh, you be at the tenor about me." Party look opposition for 4 months, no. Now you need to adjust for party office, no. Now Dr. Abamian go to Yaka. Who dey you want to lose here? And who the party lose? Because I will say one more. Sira college here, born man penny for Baha, we still maintain free. Musa say ne komo. And no better for him be. And now one more say penny we back for more ban no more to someone ask because Musa says can say then you was Musa say ministry by state institution by and then MPP full soldier. Ebeti me akọ hono mo. Me was state housing. Na kwabra for appear virus hono. Kwale ko hwe. Ombeti megu hono mo sa. Enemre ukọ state housing kwabra for appear virus. Woni wo biem. Ukọ hwan ho. Ntu ko bi. Ntu na be se Bamian dey lose. Bamian is the loser. It is the party that is going to lose. It is a shewutim eya bowutim dam bi say ene party no eya say ene wa ene kan say mo so bagi kabidia e say Bamian dey lose dia wo bo wati. Party no na interestingly say Dr. Bamian win the 2028 elections. The state will continue to cater for him and his household. Now way. Now way. Obi a no man be hwe na kwesi do wu. O man ni de den o man ni timi ni nya bi kwaku ye nkora bremu. Esikafo a abagana. Ebinum unfortunately they died as paupers. There's history. Rolling time yes will be border guard. No, we scapa papa. Immigration for no. Obi wonu masa. Na ewiase mo. Kwaku. Me matibi da say I check yes will be to car back 50. And made the car back to no so. Edru eti no obo no obo the rule. Edru eti no obo our man see. Answer when you schedule to do any. What you say? Minimum hotels be ewo bubuashi ekokata hotel side holomo na nipa lugwa no hotels 4 kwaku obewu na onishi there was one na momu no oman no here oman to the extent they say obotaka say won't take care of former president former vice president it will never happen.
All right, go on that Sibre Medamat me be ma ko alaji say do say ono ya adwin pa o say ono ya adwin wasema wo kan alaji pass alaji good morning and pay na oni me dia semba ko pe na ehia me weekend ye hu say Kwame A+ abepa attorney general chew
you be do ko pa
na bring you just omaba momumra Kwame dia semba ko pe na me kan che Kwame attorney general say waka say say Kwame A+ national service scandal no ne ho bom on hwe ni wa meka asembia foforo bia nkyere yem on hwe ye ni wa meka asem foforo bia nkyere yem ye person sa investigation no so ye ne sa prosecution no e court to the conclusion as say drew ye ka kire no ye mpe asembia na asembia ti a simple message and the manum and so etimi across since the NDC are the majority in parliament can President Mahama sign the anti-gay bill and can Sam George organize demonstration against him where mami nyakwa US and ubisa mami and on the onion adwin so be you then me hunu ye gini pedu adwumam general say atete omo ye omo afi adwumam ye say enema basa sa eno ko ana your mama epese oye nti nyam behwe na yehu ba bi ebeko jese mo mre na yehu sadia enema bi si akom mesramo obi ewo dan sa dan we oton ewo klagon ewo spinters na dan no eye uncompleted 3-story building as a story building no ye anything be ye anything be na ground floor no dey we a single room self-contained 2 bedroom apartment and the one here offer first floor so 6 bedrooms 6 bedroom apartment so ewo eyeho and the last one no and na unwie enti o say obia we ni je ho se obeto sa dan so wa bruchi so wo Ghana ha say so wo pedan ato a which be e won ye sprinters na edan ewo eno achi no mo san wo asase be 4 plot omo ton with the same area nti obi a wo ye interested bia no twasa number